My girlfriend texted me from her girls' trip to Hawaii saying we should see other people. I replied, good to know. Then I canceled our lease and moved out. When she came home, all her stuff was neatly boxed by the door. And that's when her world started falling apart. Hey Reddit. So yeah, my ex decided she needed space while sipping Mai Tais in Hawaii. A week later, $5,000 was missing from my account, and half my stuff was already halfway to a storage unit. I figured if she wanted space, I'd give her plenty. But trust me, that was just the beginning. Let me back up a bit. My name's Noah Hale, 31. I work in software, mostly remote, one of those jobs where you spend more time staring at screens than people. I lived with my girlfriend, Renee Calder, 29. She worked in marketing, talked about brand identity like it was a religion, and somehow managed to make our one-bedroom apartment look more like her Pinterest board than a shared home. My mornings were quiet. Gym at 7, coffee at 8, laptop open by 9. Renee's mornings? They started with her hitting snooze 4 times, swearing at her work emails, and frantically digging through her closet. Her vanity table looked like a small explosion of makeup and skincare samples. Mine, just a coffee mug and a laptop charger. That week, she was prepping for a girls-only trip to Hawaii. For 3 weeks straight, she and her friends Ava and Tara were in and out of the apartment, planning it like it was a corporate retreat. Every time they came over, they spread out like they owned the place, talking about swimsuits, Airbnbs, and which bars had the best vibes. Ava looked like she belonged on a yacht, long hair extensions, always in gym clothes, but somehow never actually sweaty. Tara was quieter, nice enough, but clearly followed Ava's lead. Whenever I passed through the living room to grab something from the fridge, the jokes started. Poor Noah, Ava smirked once. You gonna survive a week without adult supervision? Renee laughed, flipping her hair. He'll probably reorganize the pantry or something. I smiled, because that's easier than arguing. At least when I reorganize something, it stays clean. They laughed louder. It didn't sting. It just reminded me how far apart we drifted. The night before her flight, she was pacing around, tossing clothes into a suitcase. Can I use your card for emergencies? She asked, not even looking up. What kind of emergencies? I said. You know, in case my debit card gets locked or something. I didn't love the idea, but I handed her my card anyway. Don't go wild with it. She rolled her eyes. Relax, I'm not an idiot. The apartment felt empty the second the door closed behind her. I dropped her at the airport, kissed her goodbye. She kissed me back like she was already in line for boarding. Before I'd even pulled out of the terminal, she was on her phone, thumbs moving fast. 2 days later, she started posting photos, sunsets, beaches, drinks, pineapples, all with those overly filtered, living my best life captions. I scrolled for a bit, then set my phone down. Not a single post mentioned me. That night, she called while I was making dinner. Hey, can you send me the Netflix password? We're watching something before we go out. I sent it. She hung up without saying thanks. The next day, another post. Her on a boat, hair blowing, some guy's arm barely visible in the frame. The caption, freedom looks good on everyone. The comments were full of fire emojis and yes, queen nonsense. I didn't comment. Later that evening, I was checking a code push for work when her message came through. It wasn't long. I've been thinking a lot since I got here. I feel like we've been different for a while. And maybe it's time we both see what else is out there. We can talk when I'm back. I read it twice. It wasn't even mean, just cold. Like a memo. I didn't text back. Didn't throw anything. Didn't pace around. I just sat there for a while, staring at the little gray bubble that never turned into more words. Then I opened the window. The night air felt heavy, kind of sticky. I took a screenshot of the message and placed my phone face down on the counter. Then I grabbed a notepad and wrote 3 lines. Cancel lease renewal. Move stuff out. Don't wait for her to decide. I looked around the living room. Plants, framed quotes, candles shaped like fruit. Half my things were already stored in bins under the bed. Funny how you don't realize how little space you actually have until someone reminds you it's not really yours. Renee wanted space. She just forgot I could take that literally. I shut my laptop, cleaned the dishes, turned off the lights. My to-do list for tomorrow was already in my head. Before going to bed, I looked at my phone one more time. The message still sat there, glowing on my screen, like it was waiting for some reaction I wasn't going to give. I locked my phone and said it out loud, mostly to the empty room. Guess I'm the emergency now. The next morning, I woke up early, made coffee, and opened my banking app out of habit. The number on the screen didn't look right. My checking balance was $5,000 lower than yesterday. I scrolled through the transactions. 5,287, 43, 3 charges, all in Waikiki. A luxury spa, a jewelry boutique, and a seaside private dining experience. I just stared at the screen. My card was in her wallet. I hadn't touched it since the night before she left. I called the number on the back of the card. The woman who answered sounded half asleep but polite. "Thank you for calling. How can I help?" "Yeah," I said. "Someone just spent $5,000 of my money in Hawaii." "That wasn't me." She looked it up, confirmed the transactions, and told me they'd already been processed. "We can open a fraud report, Mr. Hale. You'll get an email with the case number." "Do that," I said. When we hung up, the confirmation email arrived. I opened my laptop, made a folder on the desktop, named it Proof, and dropped in screenshots of every charge plus the case file. The folder looked small, but it carried weight. This was my reset button. While the coffee cooled, I thought back to all the smaller money moments, the ones I'd brushed off. Renee always forgetting her card when we went out. The rent delays. The "you make more anyway" comments that used to sound like jokes. They weren't jokes. By 9 a.m., I already knew what I had to do next. I called the landlord. His name's Paul, and good guy, slow to reply sometimes, but fair. "Hey Paul, it's Noah from 3B. "Morning, Noah, what's up?" "I'm not renewing the lease. I'll be moved out before the end of the month." He paused. "Everything all right?" "You two seemed settled." "Plans changed," I said. "Can you send me confirmation of cancellation?" "Sure thing. I'll email it over." When I hung up, I opened my notes app and made a checklist. Move my stuff. Box hers, photos for documentation. Return keys. That list became my plan for the week. I started in the bedroom. Her side of the closet looked like a clothing store exploded. I worked slow and careful, folding every piece, stacking them into boxes. Each one got a label in thick black marker. Renee Closet. Renee Vanity. Renee Shoes. Renee Bathroom. Packing her vanity was the worst. Dozens of lipsticks, bottles, brushes, things I didn't even know existed. Everything smelled like her perfume. I kept finding little notes and receipts tucked into drawers. At the very bottom, under a pile of journals, there was a white envelope. It said Dad in her handwriting. I didn't open it. Just held it for a few seconds, then set it aside. I took photos of every room before sealing the boxes. Bedroom, living room, kitchen. Each picture got a timestamp. Proof that nothing was broken or missing. I even vacuumed under the bed and wiped down the counters. Around 3 in the afternoon, there was a knock. I opened the door to find Mrs. Tran from next door holding her cat carrier. She's nice, but always looking for a little gossip. "Oh dear, are you two moving?" she asked, trying to peek past me. "Just me," I said. "Oh no, did something happen?" "Yeah," I said. "She went to Hawaii." Mrs. Tran frowned like that didn't explain anything, which, honestly, it didn't. "That's too bad," she said. "You two are such a cute couple." "Guess looks aren't everything," I replied, then went back to taping boxes. She mumbled something about wishing me luck and walked off. When I finally sat down to take a break, the letter to her dad was still sitting on the counter. I found an envelope, wrote Elaine Calder on it. I still had her address from their holiday card last winter. I slid the letter inside with a sticky note that said, "Figured this should be with family," and dropped it in the outgoing mail downstairs. Back in the apartment, I checked my laptop. A new email from the bank had come in. "We've identified one disputed charge as processed via Calder Marketing Group's corporate travel portal while using your card. Please confirm this was not authorized by you." I read that twice. Her company card. She must have used her work travel system to book the resort, maybe for the points. That meant her company's accounting department would see it. I replied with the same calm tone I'd used all day. "Not authorized. Confirming fraud report still open." I attached every receipt, every screenshot, and hit send. I didn't need revenge. The systems she relied on were already doing it for me. As I finished taping the last box, I noticed how quiet the place had become. The constant background hum of her music, her calls, her perfume, all of it was gone. Just air and silence now. I moved her boxes to one side of the living room, lined them up neatly. My side of the apartment was already empty. By evening, I'd filled 8 boxes in total. 4 hers, 4 mine. The shelves looked naked. The couch looked bigger than usual. I opened the window. City noise rolled in like static. I sat down on the floor, back against the wall, and took a photo. A half-empty living room, the light from the window cutting through the space like a line between before and after. I posted it to my social feed with one line. Some doors closed themselves. No tags, no drama, just that. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed, friends liking it, a few question marks in my DMs. I didn't answer anyone. I leaned my head back against the wall and watched the sun slide behind the buildings. The apartment smelled like cleaning spray now instead of her perfume. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like I could breathe. 4 days after I boxed the last of her things, the place was still and quiet. I was scrubbing the counters when my phone buzzed, a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. It was someone from Calder Marketing Group, Renee's company. The woman's voice was polite but firm. "Mr. Hale, we're reviewing a corporate expense attached to your card. We'd like to confirm details." She explained that the resort booking ran through their corporate travel portal using my card, and that my name and phone number had autofilled from the card profile. I opened my laptop, attached the receipts and screenshots from proof, and sent them over with a one-line email. All transactions unauthorized. Fraud case active. 10 minutes later, they replied, thanking me and mentioning their internal compliance process. Translation: Renee had just walked into an HR meeting she didn't see coming. By the afternoon, the apartment was spotless. Only her boxes were left, stacked neatly in rows along the living room wall. I'd already moved my things into a short-term place across town, except for a small tool and cleaning box I'd kept for the final walkthrough. I was planning to drop off the keys to the landlord the next day. Then, a hard knock at the door. I figured it was Paul, the landlord, coming for the inspection. It wasn't. Renee stood there, tan from the trip, sunglasses on, suitcase handle in her hand. She'd flown home 2 days early. Her eyes went straight to the boxes before she even stepped inside. "What the hell is this?" she snapped. I wiped my hands on a towel. "Your stuff," I said. "You said we needed space. I just made some." "You're throwing me out like trash." "You ended it," I said. "I'm just following instructions." She pushed past me, scanning the place, the empty shelves, my desk gone, my closet bare. "You actually moved out? You didn't even wait for me to come back?" "You told me not to." "That text wasn't final," she snapped. "You're so dramatic." "I meant we should talk when I got home." "You wrote 'see other people,' and I said." "Hard to misread that." Her voice rose. "You embarrassed me." "Everyone saw your post." "People are asking questions." "It said a sentence about doors," I said evenly. "If that embarrassed you, that's on you." She grabbed one of the boxes, saw her name written on it, and let out this disbelieving laugh. "You labeled them?" "God, you're insane." "Organized," I said. For a second, she didn't know what to say. Then she crossed her arms, pretending to look calm. But I could see the switch, that sharp pivot from anger to charm. Her voice softened. "I didn't mean for things to blow up like this." The trip was stupid. We all fought. I shouldn't have texted what I did. I leaned on the counter, waiting. She kept going, now about the card. "It was an accident. I was going to pay you back." "Then your HR shouldn't have emailed me this morning," I said. That froze her. "They what?" "They asked me to confirm the charges." I did. The color drained from her face. Then she slammed the box shut and glared. "You'll regret this, Noah. You think you're the victim, but everyone's going to know what kind of person you are." "Already do," I said. She stormed out, heels echoing down the hallway. I waited until the door clicked shut before exhaling. The room felt even quieter than before. A few minutes later, my laptop pinged. Another email from the bank. "We've linked additional receipts to Calder Marketing Group. Investigation expanding." I didn't smile, but it felt like closure was finally creeping closer. I stacked the last of her boxes by the front door, printed an inventory list, and taped it to the top box. I wanted it crystal clear. Every single thing was accounted for. When I stepped into the hallway, Victor was just coming back from walking his dog. He glanced at the moving straps in my hand. "She show up?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Short visit." He gave this dry chuckle. "People like that only learn when the world stops giving." I locked the dolly wheels and nodded. Then class is in session. Together, we carried the last 2 boxes, tools and cleaning supplies, down to his truck. Took maybe 15 minutes. He didn't ask questions, and I didn't offer any. By early evening, Paul, the landlord, showed up for the final walkthrough. The apartment looked cleaner than when we first moved in. He walked from room to room with his clipboard, nodding as he went. "Never seen a tenant leave it this tidy," he said. I handed him the keys. "Appreciate it." He signed the inspection sheet, tore off my copy. "She still picking up her stuff?" "Eventually," I said. "It's labeled. Keep a spare so she can schedule pickup." He shrugged, pocketed the keys, and left. The sun was setting through the blinds, throwing long stripes of light across the empty floor. I stood there for a moment, phone in hand, then took one photo of the clean apartment, posted it with a short caption. "That's one lesson paid in full." Then I locked the screen and walked out for the last time. The picture of the empty apartment had barely been up an hour before everything went loud again. My phone lit up in a way it hadn't since she first left. Messages, notifications, calls, like someone had just kicked a beehive. The first was from Ava. "You're seriously unstable, Noah. Renee told us what you did. Throwing her stuff out? Who does that? You need help." Then came Tara, softer but still defensive. "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but maybe you should just talk to her. You're both acting crazy right now. Please don't post anything else. She's really upset. People like that never want truth. They just want confirmation for their version of it." By noon the next day, Renee's meltdown had gone fully public. Her stories were paragraphs long, screenshots, vague posts about betrayal and emotional abuse. One clip was just her crying, saying she came home to find her life on the curb. The comments were full of sympathy and fire emojis. Ava commented, "Stay strong." Tara dropped a heart. I watched one full loop, muted the account, and moved on. Didn't take long for the ripple to hit my inbox. Mutual friends started texting, "Man, what happened? You okay? She's saying some wild stuff." I ignored them all. I'd spent 3 years explaining things to her. I wasn't going to start explaining her to anyone else. That night, just after midnight, my phone rang again. The caller ID flickered between unknown and her name. I let it buzz 4 times before answering. Her voice hit me immediately, shaky, high-pitched, like she'd been crying and screaming at the same time. "You're ruining me, Noah! Do you even get what you've done?" "I'm pretty sure I do," I said. "You made me look insane," she shouted. "You're posting cryptic crap so people think I cheated or something." "I didn't post you," I said. "You posted yourself." There was silence for a beat. Then the sobbing started. "You don't understand," she said. "I didn't mean to hurt you. She stopped mid-sentence and her tone shifted. The tears dropped off fast. "You know what?" she snapped. "It wasn't even serious. You were just convenient." I was finding myself. I kept my voice level. Didn't ruin it. Just stopped funding it. She started yelling again, but I'd already hung up. The call came through twice more, then stopped. The next morning, an email from the bank investigator landed in my inbox. The subject line read, "Evidence attached." I opened it. The attachment was a merchant confirmation, a signed receipt with a timestamp. Same boutique in Waikiki. Her signature matched perfectly, and the clerk's notes listed my card. She was standing at the counter, sunglasses on her head, laughing with the clerk as she signed the slip. My card sat right there on the counter beside her phone. No explanation needed. I saved the file and dropped it into the folder with the rest. I didn't send it anywhere. Didn't need anyone else to see. The facts had a way of handling themselves, if you just let them breathe. Later that day, when I stepped out to grab groceries, I ran into Victor in the hallway. He was walking Hank, his massive gray dog that looks like it could pull a truck. He looked at me, saw the expression on my face, and gave a small nod. "She's still losing it, pretty loudly," I said. He leaned on the doorframe, one hand resting on Hank's leash. People like that think volume wins arguments. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I'm just glad she's yelling somewhere else." Victor chuckled. That low kind of laugh older guys have when they've seen too much to still be surprised by anything. "You did the right thing," he said. "Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." "I won't," I replied. "Appreciate it." He clapped my shoulder, muttered something about Hank needing dinner, and headed down the hall. Then it was quiet again. That night was calm, the first real calm I'd had in days. I cooked something simple, ate while catching up on a few work messages, then scrolled through the news until the noise in my head started to fade. Around 10, I plugged my phone in and froze. 40 missed calls. 24 new texts, some from numbers I didn't recognize, others from ones I'd blocked before. Most were nonsense, screenshots, half sentences that didn't make sense. But one message stood out. Just one line. "You should know Lucas isn't who you think." No name, no context. I stared at it for a second, then typed back, "Who's Lucas?" No reply. I checked her posts again. Same dramatic captions about losing everything, no new updates. Probably one of her friends trying to stir something up. Or maybe just someone who wanted to feel important. Either way, I wasn't chasing it. I closed the messages, muted the number, and set my phone down. The apartment was silent, except for the hiss of tires on wet pavement outside. I looked over at the stack of boxes I still hadn't moved from storage. My post, the one photo of the empty apartment, was still up, quiet likes trickling in. Renee was spiraling in front of an audience, trying to rewrite a story that everyone would eventually forget. I didn't need to win. I just needed to be done. 3 days later, that strange text about Lucas started to make sense. That morning, I got a message from Tara. "Hey, can we meet for coffee? Just want to clear a few things up." Not taking sides. Her name popping up surprised me. Out of all of Renee's friends, Tara was the least loud, the one who sometimes looked uncomfortable when the other two started making their little digs at me. I told her I could meet near my office during lunch. When I got to the cafe, she was already there. Hoodie, sunglasses, coffee half gone. She looked rough, like she hadn't slept in a while. "I'm not here to argue," she said right away. "I just don't want you thinking I'm like them." "Didn't think you were," I said. "But I am curious why you wanted to meet." She sighed and leaned forward. "You got that text about Lucas, right?" "Yeah," I said. "Still don't know who that is." Her eyes flicked down to her cup. "He's the guy we met in Hawaii." "Well, the guy Renee met." "Kind of. It's messy." I just nodded and let her talk. Tara took a breath. "So, Lucas Wren, he's some travel influencer. Has followers, sponsors, gets free resort stays, that kind of guy. We met him the second night there. He bought us drinks, said he could get us into a private event. Renee was all over him instantly." She paused, rubbed her forehead. "The rest of the week got messy. Renee hooked up with him first. Ava did 2 nights later. I ended up with him after that." She gave a small, humorless laugh. None of us knew until we got home and saw his stories. He posted clips of each of us. Different days, same room. She laughed again, a single sharp exhale that wasn't really laughter. We realized what happened when one of my friends tagged me in a post. That's when everything blew up between us. Renee called us traitors. Ava called her a liar. Lucas blocked all 3 of us before the flight back. I didn't say anything for a few seconds. She looked like she was waiting for me to explode or mock her. Finally, I said, "So she lost him, lost the friendship, and then came home to find out she'd lost the apartment too. That about right?" Tara nodded. "Yeah. At least she got the group rate," I said. She actually laughed at that. Short but real. Then she shook her head. "She's spiraling, Noah. She's trying to spin it like she ended things with him, like it was her choice. But she's been blowing up his DMs nonstop. I think she's scared of what's coming." "What's coming?" I asked. Tara leaned in, lowering her voice. "Her company knows about the card thing. I still work with someone in accounting. They said her expenses are under review. HR got copies of those receipts from your bank. She's on temporary leave, and which basically means suspended." I leaned back, arms crossed. "Makes sense." She bit her lip. "I didn't want to reach out, but you didn't deserve how she handled any of this." "She keeps telling people you were controlling," Tara said quietly, stirring the last bit of coffee in her cup. "That you locked her out of the apartment. She's rewriting everything." "I figured," I said. "That's what people do when the facts don't fit their story." Tara nodded. "I'm just tired of it. I'm done being friends with her. Ava's pretending she's fine, but she's furious. They're both posting those fake motivational quotes about loyalty and betrayal. You've probably seen them." "I muted all of them," I said. "Good call." She finished her coffee and stood up. "Anyway, I just wanted you to know the truth. You didn't imagine anything. She really was with that guy, and she's still trying to dig herself out. Thanks for being straight with me," I said. She nodded once, then walked out without looking back. When I got home later, I opened my laptop and scrolled through social media just to see if what Tara had said lined up. It did. The cracks were showing. Renee had changed her profile picture to a quote about growth through pain. Ava's latest post said, "Don't betray people who would have done anything for you." The comments were half sympathy, half gossip. Tara had gone completely silent. Then I saw the clip. It was uploaded by some gossip account, grainy footage from the boutique's security camera, apparently screen recorded from a clerk's private story. Renee was there, signing a receipt and laughing, the same image the bank investigator had sent me. Whoever leaked it didn't tag me, but the comments were brutal. So much for independent woman, LOL. Imagine using your man's card on vacation with someone else. That's wild. The sympathy she'd built online started crumbling fast. She turned off comments an hour later. A few hours after that, someone posted a screenshot of an internal memo from her company. It said she was on administrative suspension pending investigation. It spread quickly. Everyone in her circle either went silent or started posting those vague, "don't believe everything you see online" messages. Ava changed her bio to "trust no one." Renee's followers started unfollowing her in waves. The same people who had been sending her hearts and prayers were now calling her fake. I didn't post anything. I just scrolled for a minute, closed the apps, and got dressed for the gym. The next week was quiet. I worked, trained, slept. That was it. It's strange how simple life feels when you stop reacting. I didn't need to prove anything. The truth had already done it for me. A week after the video leak, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail, then listened. "Hello, Noah," the voice said. "This is Elaine Calder, Renee's mother. I wanted to thank you for handling everything with respect." Her voice was calm, older, steady. I called her back. "Hi, Mrs. Calder," I said. She sounded almost relieved. "I got the letter you mailed me and the one Renee wrote to her father. I appreciate you sending it instead of throwing it away." "I figured it wasn't mine to keep," I said. There was a pause. Then she said quietly, "She's done this before, you know. Makes a mess, blames whoever's closest. I used to think it was immaturity, but it's a pattern now. You handled it better than most." "I just handled what was mine," I said. "She won't see it that way," Elaine replied. "But I wanted to thank you for not being cruel." That was never the goal. When we hung up, I added the call log to the proof folder, not to be petty, just to stay consistent. The next morning, an email from the bank arrived. Case closed. Full refund approved. Attached was a PDF confirmation and a short note from the investigator thanking me for my clear documentation. I saved the file and moved it into the folder. Small victory and done cleanly. Later that day, another email popped up. This time from Renee. Subject: financial settlement. "You owe me for my belongings and the mental stress you caused by violating my privacy. I expect $3,000 by Friday or I'll be taking this further." No greeting. No signature, just that. I didn't reply. I forwarded it straight to my lawyer, the same one who'd helped with the fraud paperwork. He wrote back half an hour later. Handled. Cease and desist going out today. That was that. By midweek, I started clearing the last of the furniture. A few things that had been ours together. The sofa, the table, a small shelf. I sold them online, took what I got, and split it mentally. Part for savings, part for good. That afternoon, I donated a few hundred to a local program that helps people get out of bad financial situations. It felt like the right way to close the loop. On Friday, I drove back to the old building to return the last key card to the landlord. The back seat held the final few boxes, some tools, leftover cleaning supplies, and a few things I hadn't decided whether to toss or keep. Paul met me at the front gate. "You really left this place spotless," he said. "Wish everyone moved out like that." "Old habits," I said. He handed me a small envelope with my deposit check inside. A handwritten note was clipped to it. Immaculate. "Thank you." I was about to leave when I saw her. Renee. Standing just outside the gate, phone in hand, eyes red like she hadn't slept in days. The second she spotted me, she came toward the car, fast. I stayed where I was. She started yelling before she even reached me. "You think this makes you the good guy? You lied about everything! You turned my friends against me!" I rolled the window down halfway. "You should go home, Renee. You ruined my life," she said, her voice cracking. "You want everyone to see me as some monster? Well, congratulations, you did it." Paul came outside when he heard the shouting. So did the security guard from the front desk. "Ma'am," the guard said, "you need to step back from the vehicle." She ignored him completely. "You think you can just move on like nothing happened? You think this is over?" "Yeah," I said, "it is." Security stepped between us. Paul looked embarrassed. Renee shouted a few more things I couldn't even make out before the guard finally guided her toward the sidewalk. I rolled the window up and waited until they were gone. No yelling, no scene now, just the soft hum of the air conditioning and the faint sound of city traffic outside. After a minute, I pulled out of the lot. When I got to my new apartment, it was quiet. Smaller space, one bedroom, white walls, barely any furniture, exactly what I wanted. I unpacked the essentials: laptop, a few shirts, a chair, and my coffee maker. That was all I needed. I set the deposit check on the counter next to the keys. For the first time in months, there wasn't a single notification or message waiting for me. No clutter, no noise, just space that finally felt like mine. 2 months later, everything looked different. Work was steady again. I was back to hitting the gym every morning before logging in. Weekends were quiet, some running, some laundry. No drama, no noise. The new apartment felt lived in now. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. A couch that didn't creak, a small table that doubled as a desk, and a balcony that caught just enough evening sun. The biggest difference, though, was Apollo. He's a golden retriever I adopted from a rescue shelter. The lady there said he'd been abandoned, left behind when his owner moved. I looked at him through the glass and thought, yeah, same story. Now he's the one waking me up every morning, tail thumping against the wall, head on the bed, waiting for breakfast. He follows me everywhere, like he's making sure I don't disappear on him too. Victor came over one Friday evening, carrying 2 bags of takeout and a couple of sodas. "You look like a man who eats cold food too often," he said, walking straight to the balcony. Apollo loved him instantly, probably the tone of his voice, firm but calm. We sat out there while the city lights came on, eating noodles from cartons. No heavy talk, just small stuff: work, neighbors, Victor's plans to visit his sister. Then he nodded toward Apollo, who was asleep on my feet. "Good choice," he said. "Dogs don't lie. People could learn from that." "Yeah," I said. "He doesn't ask questions, doesn't talk back, doesn't text from Hawaii." Victor laughed, and quiet and short. "You're doing fine, kid. Don't waste energy looking behind you." "I'm not," I said. "I deleted half my past already." He gave a slow nod like that was enough. The next week after work, I stopped by a cafe near the park. I brought my laptop to finish a few things, ordered coffee, and sat by the window. Apollo was tied outside with his water bowl, watching every person who passed like it was his job. About 20 minutes in, I looked up and froze. Renee had just walked in. She didn't see me at first. Her hair was darker now, shorter. No makeup, no shine. She looked tired, the kind of tired people get when their life isn't going the way they tell everyone online. Then she noticed me. Her eyes widened for a second before she masked it with a half smile. She walked over, holding her phone like a prop. "Didn't expect to see you here," she said. Her voice was flat. I nodded once. "It's a small city." She crossed her arms. "So you're just happy now? That easy?" I kept my tone even. "I'm fine." She tilted her head. "You think you're better than me now, huh?" I met her eyes. "No," I said. "Just better without you." That shut her up. She stood there like she wanted to say something else but couldn't find the words. I took my coffee, gave Apollo's leash a gentle tug through the window, and left. Outside, the air felt clean. Apollo wagged his tail and pressed against my leg, like he already knew it was over. When I got home that evening, the apartment was quiet except for the sound of his paws tapping softly on the tile. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and clicked into proof for the first time in weeks. There it was, every screenshot, every receipt, every photo. The whole mess neatly contained. I scrolled through a few files. Her messages, the bank report, the image from the boutique. None of it made me angry anymore. It just looked like evidence from another life. I highlighted everything, hit delete, and emptied the recycle bin without a second thought. Almost immediately, my phone buzzed, a notification from the bank app. "Settlement posted. Chargeback finalized." I smiled and opened the windows. A soft breeze came in, and Apollo jumped onto the couch, curling up like he owned it. I leaned back, looking around the small apartment. Quiet, clean, simple. "Stay single and get a dog," I said out loud. Apollo wagged his tail once like he agreed. It's been 2 years since everything ended, and life has a different rhythm now. No noise, no chaos, just structure and peace. Apollo's a little bigger, a little lazier. He still sleeps next to my desk when I work and perks up the moment he hears the word park. The rescue lady once told me he might take a while to trust people again, but he adjusted fast. I guess we both did. Work's solid. I got promoted last fall, not because I worked harder, but because I finally stopped carrying extra weight. When you're not waking up to fights or worrying about who's using your card, your mind works better. I didn't realize how much space peace gives you until I had it. I moved again. Nothing dramatic, just a slightly bigger place with better sunlight. It feels like a clean continuation of everything I started that month I packed up and walked away. I've kept it minimal. A couch, a bed, a desk, a coffee machine, and a handful of framed photos. One of Apollo as a puppy, one of a trail up north where we hike every few months, and one with Victor and Hank on the balcony. Renee's name hasn't come up in a long time. The last I heard, she left the company not long after the audit ended. Word was she tried freelancing for a while, then went quiet online. I don't wish her anything bad. Honestly, I hope she figured herself out. We were just two people with mismatched definitions of respect. That's not a crime, just a lesson you pay for. Every now and then, someone asks if I'm seeing anyone. I tell them I'm not in a rush. I like my space, my dog, my quiet mornings. The old version of me used to mistake noise for energy and attention for love. Now I just call it what it really is, distraction. If I've learned anything, it's that peace doesn't show up like a gift. You build it, you guard it, and you don't hand it to someone who hasn't earned their own. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button.